Hello everyone and welcome to the Constructed Criticism YouTube channel. I am Spencer, host of Constructed Criticism and Limited Time Only, two podcasts about getting better at Magic the Gathering. This is a deck tech on green-white tokens. I did a Twitter poll on what people wanted me to talk about, and I chose between green-white tokens and Jeskai, and both got enough responses that I'm just going to do a deck tech on both of them. This is the deck that we tested a lot for the Pro Tour, for Pro Tour Aether Revolt. This is actually one of our early leaders in Pro Tour testing, but what we found was it was maybe a little bit worse than we were hoping comparatively. Now, that doesn't mean that the deck is bad. The deck, I think, is a little worse than Green-Black, which is one of the better decks in the format, and that is one of the reasons that the team didn't end up on the deck for the Pro Tour. But the deck still has a lot of merit, and with the right addition of cards, and with the right play and the right format, maybe a more mid-rangey format, this could be one of the better decks in the format. So let's start with the main deck. We have 2 Heart of Kiran, 4 Archangel Avacyn, 2 Lambholt Pacifist, 4 Sylvan Advocate, 2 Thalia, Heretic, Cathar, 4 Walking Ballista, 4 Oath of Nissa, 3 Stasis Snare, 4 Canopy Vista, 8 Forests, 4 Fortified Village, 8 Plains, 1 Westvale Abbey. We have 4 Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, 4 Nissa, Voice of Zendikar, and 2 Declaration Stone in the main. Now, one of the first questions that we often got asked amongst the testing team even, so the team that was helping test for the Pro Tour, was, what does this mana base look like? And one of the reasons that you ask this is you actually want, quote-unquote, more forests than plains. You want to be able to cast your Oath of Nissas on turn 1. You want to be able to cast your 2-drops with our Lambholt Pacifist and Sylvan Advocate. You want to be able to do those things. Because of that, 8 forests, 8 plains doesn't actually make a lot of sense. But what we found is that in the long run, the most important spells in your deck are Gideon, Ally of Zendikar, and Archangel Avacyn. So having the right number of white sources and green sources is really important. This deck, if you look at it, has 16 green sources and 16 white sources and 1 Westvale Abbey. And that's really important for the deck. It really brings it to the right dimensions. The other thing that you'll notice is it plays 3 Stasis Snare. And this is a card that's really important in this format because it interacts with the Saheeli combo in a really meaningful way. And that's really important for the deck. Having a double white spell, that interacts means that you need to be able to have double white mana. Overall, the deck is basically what it was before. It's a Gideon Nissa deck, and a lot of its games are won on the back of either Nissa Ultimates or Gideon value, and that's important. Before, Casey Bloodworth, one of the co-hosts of Constructed Criticism, often said, this deck wins because it gets 1.5 out of all of its cards. So every card is worth 1.5 cards. Sylvan Advocate's going to get you 1.5 cards. Walking Ballista is going to get you 1.5 cards. Avacyn's going to get you 1.5 cards. Gideon's going to get you 1.5 cards. Nissa's going to get you 1.5 cards. Now, what that means is it's simulated card advantage. There's not actually ways to draw cards in this deck outside of Nissa's Ultimate. But what you're doing here is you're simulating that card advantage in different ways. Your Declaration Stone, 2 guys. You're getting a block and then trading with Sylvan Advocate. You're creating enough tokens that in the long run, it was worth a card to you. These are different things that the deck is doing to try and simulate that card advantage and get the most out of what it's trying to do. Thalia and Walking Ballista are must-haves in this deck. You need main deck ways between Thalia, Walking Ballista, and Stasis Snare to interact with the combo deck in the form of Saheeli and Felidar Guardian. And because of that, these cards are key role players in the deck. Now, there is an argument to playing 0 Declaration Stones, playing that 4th Stasis Snare, and playing that 3rd Thalia. Or you could play no Lambholt Pacifist. You could also play that 3rd Thalia and that 4th Stasis Snare. There's a lot of things to be thought about. one of the key things in the deck we have here is Heart of Kiran. The reason this is important is because you could see other Nissas, other Gideons, other Lilianas, and Planeswalkers, and one of the things that the format is missing is, well, Smuggler's Copter was a key part in making sure that Planeswalkers didn't play a key role in the format. Emrakul also did that in taking out Gideons and making sure that Planeswalkers weren't a key role player. But with Emrakul and that gone, Heart of Kiran is important in this deck, and it gives you a little bit of Wrath protection along with your Planeswalkers, making this deck Wrath-proof. Let's move on to the sideboard. We have the other 2 Lambholt Pacifists, the 3rd Thalia Heretic Cathar, 3 Tireless Trackers, 2 Authority of the Consuls, 3 Blessed Alliance, 2 Ajani Undying, and 2 Fragmentize. There are a few key things that we want to talk about here. Let's talk about the control matchup. You want to bring in 2 Lambholt Pacifists. You want to bring in Ajani Unyielding. And depending on the matchup, you might want to... you do actually want to bring in Tireless Tracker. And depending on the matchup, you might consider Thalia Heretic Cathar. Now, those are a lot of cards to bring in. You have to make cuts where it's important. For example, Walking Ballista is not that good against control decks. You might want to board out all of those. Now, if you're playing against the combo deck, it's way more important for you, even against the control combo, to have Thalia than it is some of those other cards. Lambholt Pacifist is going to be important in both of those matchups, because it puts a clock on that combo deck that they have to be casting spells in order to either interact with you or to win the game. Now, in that combo matchup, you might not want a Ajani. He's not that good. You actually just can't afford to pay 6 mana to tap out, because, despite what many people think, they can actually combo with no things to play on turn 6, because they can play the Felidar Guardian, play it, untap one of their lands, pay 3 mana, and then play this Healy. So they actually only need 6 mana to combo off and not 7. Now, against some of the aggro decks, Lambholt Pacifist comes in those matchups because it's a huge blocker and something that they need to either be able to deal with, or it's just going to lock down a bunch of their creatures. And then Blessed Alliance, which is huge in those kind of matchups. You might also consider bringing in Authority of the Council against both the combo Saheeli decks and the aggro decks. One of the reasons for that is, haste creatures are a big part of a lot of the combo decks, and just that little bit of life gain might put you over the top. Blessed Alliance is pretty obvious. This is especially good against the pummeler decks that people might be playing at your local FNM. Not targeting those attacking creatures, it kills that pummeler after all the work they put into it, similar to how you might have impact infect decks. Fragmentize is kind of a catch-all. One of the things that we'll see here in this format is vehicles of different costs. You'll see a lot of Heart of Kirans, and you'll see a lot of the 3-mana artifact that gives you 2 energy that gets lifelink with the 3/4 flyer. And this is important because this is a net answer to hopefully answer in case there is some kind of Aetherworks Marvel deck, you have something for it. Fragmentize is not a good answer for Aetherworks Marvel, but different things your deck might be okay with against that deck. For example, Lambholt Pacifist, Thalia, and just the overall aggression of your deck might be enough to keep you in the game against those decks. And this Stasis Snare locking down the creature that they're trying to attack you with. Those are the main thoughts of this green-white aggro, this green-white Planeswalker deck, this green-white tokens deck going into the Pro Tour, and what we thought about the deck. Let us know what your thoughts are. This is the closest thing that we came to for this deck going into the Pro Tour. It is not the deck we ended up on, but it is still a solid deck. Thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget you can go to patreon.com/ccmtg to become a patron of the show. You can go to Oasis Games, sponsor of Constructive Criticism, for 15% off your first order by using code CCMTG at checkout. Thank you everybody for listening. Support this content on Patreon. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button. It's very helpful for us, and we really appreciate it. Thank you everybody for watching, and we see you guys all next time.